Hey everyone, it's Sun Types, and if I sound a little frantic, it's because I've been doing some personal stuff, but nothing stops the YouTube grind, right? So today we are talking about future Pokemon. I want to talk about the Future Box deck, which is a really interesting looking deck in my opinion. I know some people are saying it's going to be super good, and some people don't know very much about it at all, so I want to introduce it. First of all, we'll start with the cards that are out right now. And those would be, well, there are a bunch, but the main ones: Iron Valiant EX, Iron Hands EX, Techno Radar, and Future Boost Energy Capsule. The other ones are decent, but I'll just talk about these for now. Techno Radar: discard a card from your hand, search deck for two future Pokemon, reveal and put it into your hand. That's like fine, but in fact, it's quite good, right? It's a good card, but also it's not that interesting. But I figured it helps the deck out. Another tool or another trainer, in this case it's a tool. It's Future Booster Energy Capsule. The future Pokemon this card is attached to has no retreat cost, and its attacks do 20 more damage, which is really nice. Both of those effects are really useful. And obviously, it being on a tool means it's reasonably easy to search with cards like Arven and Town Store, and it's good. Um, and in addition to that, we have Iron Valiant EX. Laser Blade 200 for Psychic. Psychic Callus is pretty decent. Can't attack next turn, but you're probably switching it out anyways. Because Tachyon Base, once in a turn, this Pokemon moves from the bench to the active. You need to put 2 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon, and Future has a lot of different attributes. It has damage buff and spread, and this kind of both of those. And so this is a really important card, in my opinion. I think I said it was the best card from Paradox Rift, and I think with the new set we will see that come to fruition with Temporal Forces. Temporal Forces will be coming in March, I think. I think it's the end of March. I could be wrong. But anyways, it'll be coming, and rotation will be happening at the same time. So we will be losing Battle VIP Pass. So Techno Radar will be nice as well. And we'll be losing Path, which is good for this. There are a bunch of changes, but long story short, most of them are probably good for this card. It's up to you that you can interpret however you want. But then we have lastly Iron Hands EX. This one is attacking AMP very much for Lightning Colorless. Colorless, it's just 120. But then if you take a KO, you take an extra prize card. And so there's a deck called TDK, the Team Plasma deck, and a lot of that is similar to the Future deck for those of you familiar with it, but I'm not going to talk about it really much right now. But yes, we have those cards. You have Professor Toad Scenario, you have Iron Jugulus, which are decent. I mean, Iron Bundle and Iron Moth aren't too bad either, honestly. But you probably won't be playing them in the future. You could play Iron Bundle, but anyways. First of all, I want to talk about Iron Leaves EX, and these cards are currently only printed in Japan, so these will be translations. But Rapid Veneer, when you play this Pokemon, you can onto your bench. You can switch into the active and move a bunch of energy to it, which is really useful. Then you can use Prism Edge 180 for Grass Colorless, and next turn it can't attack. But of course, the main thing here is that it hits Grass Weakness, which is a pretty decent weakness to hit. In the first step in the Toolboxy style deck, I guess the second step, Iron Hands is also um, not exactly a weakness hitter. It kind of is a weakness hitter, but also good against single prize decks. Another really good card is the new Miraidon, which maybe I should have talked about first, but this is a really interesting card, as well as the new item card called Reboot Pod, apparently. So anyway, it's pretty interesting. So the item here is an A-Spec card, and it is a future card, but it says attach one basic energy from your discard pile to each of your future Pokemon in play. So it's pretty interesting, because that accelerates obviously a lot of energy. So this is a way to accelerate a bunch of energy, as well as Miraidon. Because you can only play one Ace Spec, that Ace Spec will get you there, kind of, but it doesn't get multiple energy on the same Pokemon. I mean, you can get two. You can accelerate the one and then attach. You can energy switch. You can do stuff. You can play the Iron Leaves itself and accelerate a bunch of energy to that by like accelerating them to your other Pokemon, but it's a bit awkward. So instead we have this Miraidon here with Excel Peak. First of all, you can do 160 for 3, which isn't too bad, but Excel Peak 40 for 1 color, search deck for up to 2 basic energy, and attach them to your future Pokemon in any way you like, and shuffle your deck. The 40 is not a ton, but in a second we'll see that it might be enough. And you can buff it with Future Boost Energy Capsule, and there's another card to buff it with, and then you can shuffle, and then you shuffle your deck, which is pretty normal. But 40 and then 2 accelerating is kind of like we've seen this attack before. It's been okay at times and bad at times. But then we have Iron Crown EX here, which is super good. And as I said, you can use Reboot Pod and the Miraidon together. But then we have this Iron Crown EX. I misclicked. Iron Crown EX with Cobalt Command. It attacks your future Pokemon except Iron Crown EX for whatever reason. Do 20 more to your opponent's active Pokemon, which is potentially a lot because it can stack. And so, as I said, the 40 from Miraidon isn't enough to really one-shot anything. But they're Pokemon with 60, 70, 80, maybe 90 HP, and you can play down Iron Crown EX or 2, and then the Future Booster Energy Capsule, and then you're one-shotting these Pokemon on potentially and hopefully the first turn of the game going second. And from there, you can just go ahead and start attacking with your bigger threats, like Iron Crown EX itself with Twin Shot. For Psychic Colorless. Colorless, it does 50 to your opponent's Pokemon, but it hits through Mana Feet. Again, embracing that spread aspect, potentially very powerful with Iron Valiant. Also, earlier I said Iron Valiant does 200. We also see this Miraidon, which does 220 for 3. And so that's, or just, yeah, 220. And you also have Reject Bolt, which is a weird attack. If your opponent's active already has damage on them, it does 160. So that'll be at least 180. Or I guess it could be 170 if they have 1 damage counter on them, but generally it'll be 2. So you can be hitting 180 for 2 and then buff it with the Iron Crown, so you can get like pretty decent amounts of damage. You can for 2 energy be one-shotting basic 2 prizers, like I don't know. I was trying to think of some basic V, and I couldn't think of anything like Arceus V, or like the other Miraidon EX or this Miraidon EX. And then for 3, you can be hitting like 280, potentially one-shotting a V Max. Keep in mind that this will be a bunch of work. You can either ping though with Iron Valiant, boost it with Iron Crown, or boost it with Future Booster Energy Capsule. And lastly, we have a few other attacking options. Iron Thorns is bad. I don't even remember what all these are. I think Iron Jugulis also isn't very good. That being said, we see a bunch of other Pokemon. Let's see, what are these? So there are multiple Iron Valiants. Um, so this one does a 120 for 3, and you can also do 20 and 20 on your opponent's bench, which is okay. Some people are playing it. I don't think it's that good. We have this other Iron Valiant, which is kind of interesting. Um, you have calculation, look at your top 4 and put them back in any order, which isn't good, but Majesty Sword, 100. But if you play a future supporter from your hand, this turn it does 100 more. The future supporters are okay. There's Cryptomaniacs, Deciphering or something, which looks at your deck, puts any cards you want on the top 2, which is really powerful potentially, but doesn't necessarily have a lot of synergy with future stuff, other than Iron Thorns, which is, as I said earlier, bad. And then you also have Professor Terracenero, which is like A to Z. It scoops up the Pokemon back into your hand, which is potentially usable, but not particularly good. I say it's actually worse than Cryptomaniac's Deciphering, and it's also like neither of them have a ton of synergy with Feature. Next we have Iron Boulder EX. It can do 60, and if it's damage next turn, you put 8 damage counters on the attacking Pokemon. Potentially really annoying to have to deal with if you are grabbing a KO with the 60 attack, like 60 straight off, or if you like somehow boost that damage and then get the KO. And Power Stamp, you do 200 for fighting colorless. Again, potentially hitting weakness because a lot of your other Pokemon are either psychic, which is not necessarily an awful weakness to hit, but not the most useful. Actually, no, it's pretty bad because it mostly hits the Urshroos, which are rotating. So yeah, but then you have fighting weakness, which is okay to hit. It's decent. And then you have let's see. Oh, I was saying, is there a lightning Pokemon? There is Iron Hands EX, but also this Iron Hands. It does 160 to a V or EX, and that will be one-shotting Pokemon that are weak pretty much all the time. And that one's like because Lightning and Psychic are their main types with the Miraidon and the Miraidon EX, which are Lightning Psychic. They're Dragon types, but they use Lightning Psychic energy. Iron Hands EX, Iron Valiant EX, Iron Crown EX are all either Lightning or Psychic. Then we have what is this? Iron Treads. There we go. Is this missing a card? I think we're missing a card here. I might be like just missing it, like not seeing it, but I think they're missing Iron Treads EX. Anyway, that card's not that good. But this says if it has future boost energy capsule attached, it's fighting and metal, which is kind of cool. You can do 60 for metal colorless, and then move energy from this to one of your bench. I don't know. I think it's okay, not amazing. Doesn't hit an amazing weakness either. But anyway, you got some pretty cool options with this deck. There are definitely some people who have covered this deck before as well. So maybe I'll talk about that more in the future if you want me to do that. Comment that down below. Subscribe, like the video, all that good stuff. I hope you enjoyed, and as always, I'm excited to see you in the next video.